Right, so my sport, I've done bodybuilding, and the components of fitness that I've picked, because I believe they're the most important, is cardiovascular endurance, strength, and body composition. Now, I've picked the components of fitness for a reason. Cardiovascular endurance I've picked because you need to get your blood flow, and the better your cardiovascular endurance is, the better your blood flow to your muscles. When you're performing your exercises, you can get a better pump, which will help you going to grow. I've done strength, obviously, because you need some strength to lift the weight up, to tear your muscles, and to get growth that way. And I've picked body composition as well, because that is the most important thing, because at the end of the day, when you're on stage, when you're competing, that's what you get judged at, and that's where the whole concept of bodybuilding comes from. I've got a case study to back up my points, and it was done for 12 months, but the downside to this case study is it's only one person, so it's difficult to generalise, because there's not enough people to make it valid for everyone, because he could just do something that worked for him. He was 26-year-old and he was a white male, and what the case study said was that strength is important, but not as important as the other two, because cardiovascular endurance helps to keep your body fat percentage down, and the more the body composition changed as he got closer towards competition, strength decreased, showing that strength quite clearly is not as important as the other two. And the case study was performed by the International Journal of Sport Physiology Performance 2013 Human Kinetics, which quite clearly shows it's a recent thing, so it's not like from 30-40 years ago, so it's definitely in date, and the group that performed it is a recognised sporting facility, so it's definitely valid.
Good. You done? I did cricket, and the three components I chose were strength, cardiovascular endurance, and power. Strength's the quality of being physically strong, and it's important in cricket because it could be the difference between when you hit the ball in the gap, you're going harder into the gap in the field and not being able to stop it, or if you're bowling it could add a couple of extra yards of pace onto you. And it'll affect performance, because if that's happens, obviously if you're in bat and it goes in the gap in the field, you've got strength in the field that can't stop it, you're going to score more runs. Or if you hit it up in the air, your strength's going to make it go that bit further, so it could be a difference between getting caught and then going for six. Obviously with your bowling, if you're an extra couple of yards quicker, it's always going to make it harder for the bat. There was a case study that looked into back and leg strength between cricketers and non-cricketers. We used 19 Indian uni students who played cricket, 99, and 98 non-cricketers between the ages of 16 and 25. They used a dynamometer to collect the results, and they took an average over 3 trials, and they got the results of 106 kilograms for the cricketer for the back strength, and 85 for the non-cricketer, 52.4 for leg for the cricketer, and 52.2 for the non-cricketer. The sample was fairly small in relation to a lot, and fairly big in relation to a lot, but it could have used more people. Also, here's an uneven. I don't know why they used one extra unit cricketer. They may as well said 98 would have made it more valid. They also used 16 to 25, so there's a lot of people other than that who are, you could look at older, and if kind of the back and leg strength deteriorates as you get older. They also used specifically Indian uni standard cricketers. Obviously, they could have looked at non-uni standard, like lower standards, and see if that correlates with it. So you could look at a lower level cricketer to be in between these two somewhere, and that would help the results a lot. They all used 3 trials. They could have used more. That would have made it more accurate. And in the conclusion, it stated that the results showed that leg strength is more important for a cricketer than a non-cricketer. But I think because of the small difference, I'd conclude that it actually isn't important. Cardiovascular endurance, that's like the ability to get oxygen to the working muscles. It's important in cricket because obviously it's a long, if you're playing, you know, one day or even test cricket at an elite level, obviously it's a long time, you've got a lot of running to do. And the difference could be, obviously, if you haven't got cardiovascular endurance, you're going to get tired, and tiredness affects concentration. So the longer the game goes on, if your CV isn't good, you're going to lose concentration, and you could drop a catch or get out or not ball as well. The study I looked at comparing the South African cricket team to the South African rugby team. It said that it's surprisingly got similar results between the two when it came to different kinds of cardiovascular tests, and it concluded that the cricketers were much more fitter than expected, as cricket's not really seen as a sport that includes a lot of fitness. The critique again, you only use elite performers. Again, it could use non-elite performers to see the difference between non-elite and elite. And also the results that they got, they didn't really state how they did it or really like what they used to get them results. It just kind of stated the results, which wasn't great. The last one was power. Power is the combination of max speed and max strength. It's obviously important in cricket because a lot of what you do is little bursts of combined speed and strength, like bowling, like your arm coming round is more of a powerful sort of action. And then when you're hitting a ball, when you're batting, that's a powerful stroke. There was no real specific kind of evidence on why power is important in cricket, but there was a lot of strength and speed. So I feel that even though there wasn't much evidence on it, I don't think that was saying that power is not important. I think it's more saying they'd rather look at strength and speed as individuals, but obviously together they are important. And if I were going to draw a conclusion, in my opinion, I'd say that power is the most important because speed's very important and strength's very important, but I think together they're probably more important than anything else in cricket, personally.
I pick boxing because it's one of the not well-known sports nowadays. It's been overshadowed by football and all the media, other sports such as rugby. A component of fitness was originally split into 4 different categories of strength, power, flexibility and endurance. But since sports scientists, such as we're studying now, are split into 9 categories, the 4 categories that I have picked are power, speed, agility and cardiovascular endurance. The reason why I picked power is because the definition of power is one explosive movement it's instantaneous. Now the reason why this relates into boxing is because when someone punches somebody, it's got to be an instantaneous and very fast movement because of how close they are to guarding all the time. They've got to have that movement. It's the same relatively with speed too. It's very rare when you see a boxer get a full clean hit on someone without somebody dodging out of the way or without somebody blocking them with a miss. So when an opportunity events itself in a boxing match, they take the opportunity to go so fast and do so much damage. That's why it requires it. A tester that I did by the BBC used Ricky Hatton as a test subject. His power rating was 400 kilograms of power, which is 10 times more than the average man. The fastest his fists could go were 32 miles per hour, and his average punches was 25 miles per hour, which only gives his opponents only 10 seconds, one less of a tenth of a second to respond to that punch. And that's why it led me on to agility, because right now I've just focused on the offensive side. Now the defensive side of boxing is you're always constantly moving out of jabs, hooks, sidewinders, jabs. It's constantly moving. So, and Ricky Hatton has shown that opponents only have one less of a tenth of a second to react to that. The reason why I used cardiovascular endurance and muscular endurance, because I'm kind of on the fence about it when I'm thinking about my opinion, but cardiovascular endurance wins out for me because in boxing, when you come up against 2 really good boxers, it's about who can last longer. A common tactic that is used in boxing is to let your opponent beat on you wait until he's tired, and you use all of your energy that you've preserved to knock your opponent out. Because if he's that exhausted he can't defend himself, he's basically going to get killed, especially with 400 kilograms of force.
Which element do you think, when you mentioned cardiovascular, so you think in terms of fatigue, inability to move around, or do you think is it caused by cardiovascular?
Yeah, it's caused by the endurance of the athlete, which has been shown in training of that. Going really fast too. Right. The study that I've shown that's been used against me, because my opinion is these are what are important, but 326 of the survey have disagreed with me slightly. Most of them have said that agility and power is a really good one, but also speed and muscular endurance has been half too. So generally with boxing, the thing is about boxing, it's not like every sport. There's no major component of fitness. They're all very, very important in boxing. They're all really important. So in my opinion, that's what it is. I don't mind I'm being wrong, or it's subjective, because the way boxing is, not like football where there's one that generally octups another. Boxing is everything. And can you quote yourself, by the way? I quote myself into saying this, that boxing is the king of sports because of that reason, and to be a boxer is to be a king of fitness, because it requires all components of fitness. Good. That's all.
Okay, football for myself.
Yeah.
Okay, the 3 components of fitness that I've chosen as being important in that sport of football is speed, strength and agility. So I'll start with speed. Okay, now in my opinion, okay, speed is very important. I wouldn't just say it's for the goalkeeper or the defender, but it's also for the midfielder and the attacker as well. So obviously when you're playing a competitive match, speed is really important. You know, in getting to the ball before the opponent does. Okay, getting into the tackle before the opponent does. Also, you know, it can be used in counter-attack. You know, you want to be quick when you've got the ball. You want to obviously try and score the goal and try and score more goals than the opponent. So, in my opinion, you know, speed is very important. Probably one of the top 3. That's why I've written it. I looked at some research from Tim Daniels. Okay, and he did some writing and said that players who are faster are able to get to the ball quicker. Okay, and I think that's right. You know, in a competitive match, you know, you want to get to the ball first, and obviously when you've got to the ball, you're able to keep possession of the ball. So that's very, very important. And I think it's proven as well that players that, you know, play at different levels, you know, you've got your top players, some are really, really quick. I think that's why speed's important, you know, especially if you're playing on the right wing or the left wing. And then obviously, the only problem with that is, you know, he's not really done any testing into that to prove what he said. You know, he's not looked at the different levels of the game to test, you know, why obviously speed is an important component of fitness. Okay, next one is strength. So strength, okay, the stronger players will outstrength the weaker players. Okay, now that can be in a tackle, it can be, you know, it can be during the game, and strength's really important in muscles. So, like for instance, when you're shooting at goal, if you train your leg, you know, your quadriceps and your hamstrings, you know, you have to take a shot at goal, you're gonna have, you know, more power because of the strength in your legs. Plus, strength is also linked very well with, you know, muscular injuries. The more stronger your muscles and joints and bones are, the less likely you are to get injured playing a competitive match. And I also think as well that the conditioning of the athletes, you know, you need to be conditioned for the sport you're playing. If you're not, then you can never perform to that strong level. So I looked at the research I looked at. So Adore, he did a test with colleagues, and basically what that test was, he took a group of players, okay, from Holland, took a group of those players, and he basically did, he split them up into 2, so he had 30 players. He had one group, 15 of them, that did extra weight training sessions in the gym, so sport specific, so it could be lunges, it could be leg extensions, leg curls, upper body work, so like deadlifts, you know, chest press, so looking at building, you know, muscular strength. So he did one test with those, 3 sessions a week,